Before we begin, if you enjoy stories where humanity surprises the galaxy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because out there in the stars, humans are often underestimated, until they prove everyone wrong. Now let's begin. The Predator enclosure was never meant for recruits. It was built for monsters. 6 meters of armored glass, electrified barriers, gravity set to 3 times the galactic standard, and inside, things with too many teeth. The Academy Commandant folded his arms. He watched the humans step inside, the door sealed, the Predators went silent, and then they started circling him, not hunting, waiting, like soldiers awaiting orders. The Carrion Military Academy floated above a red dwarf star. It trained the galaxy's finest warriors, or at least that was the belief. The Academy had trained soldiers from 42 species. Some had claws, some had venom, some had armor thicker than starship hull plating. But humans? Humans were new, very new, and according to most alien instructors, very fragile. Instructor Drax watched the new recruits line up. His scales shifted with irritation. 32 cadets stood in formation. Tall ones, short ones, tentacled ones, armored ones, and one human. Drax pointed at him. "You human." The human raised a hand casually. "Yes, sir." The instructor squinted. "You're smaller than expected." The human shrugged. "Been told that before." Some recruits chuckled. Drax did not. He paced in front of the formation. "This academy does not train civilians." His tail slammed the ground. "It creates predators." His yellow eyes landed on the human again. "You will fail." The human tilted his head. "That's so?" "Yes." "All right." Drax blinked. "You do not object?" The human shrugged again. "I'll just prove you wrong." The first test began 1 hour later. The Endurance Hall, a massive chamber filled with weighted armor suits, each suit adjusted for species mass. Drax held up a control device. Standard gravity for the Academy is 1.8 times galactic norm. Several recruits groaned. The floor trembled as gravity activated. Bodies strained. Armor creaked. Several recruits dropped to one knee immediately. Drax watched carefully. Run 20 laps. No one moved, except the human. He jogged forward casually. One recruit hissed. "Is he insane?" Another muttered. "Humans are fragile." The human passed them. 1 lap, 2 laps, 3. His breathing stayed steady. Instructor Drax frowned. He tapped the control panel. Gravity increased. 2.5x. Several cadets collapsed instantly. One insectoid recruit screamed. The human slowed slightly, then kept running. Lap 6, lap 7, lap 8. The medical scanners beeped wildly. An assistant scientist stared at the monitor. "That's impossible." Drax glanced over. "What?" The scientist pointed. "The human's heart rate is stable." Drax narrowed his eyes. "Explain." The scientist swallowed. I cannot." 20 minutes later, most recruits were on the floor, some unconscious, some begging for medics. Only 3 remained standing. A 4-armed brute from Talos, a scaled runner from Zarak, and the human. Lap 15. The Talos recruit collapsed. Lap 16. The Zarak runner staggered. Lap 17. The human passed him. Still jogging, still calm. Drax tapped the gravity control again. 3.2x. Gasps echoed. The Zarak runner dropped instantly. The human slowed. He stretched his neck, then continued. Lap 18, lap 19, lap 20. He stopped, hands on hips, breathing heavy, but smiling. "Done?" The hall was silent. Drax stared. The scientist whispered. "Earth gravity." Drax turned slowly. "What about it?" The scientist adjusted his display. "Earth gravity is nearly 3 times galactic standard." Drax blinked. "What?" "Humans grow up under it." Drax looked back at the human, who was now sipping water. The second test began the next morning. Combat training. Alien recruits wore standard plasma armor. The human received the same. Drax addressed the class. "You will spar." He gestured to the Talos brute. "First match." The Talos recruit stepped forward. He was enormous, 3 meters tall, 4 arms, bone spikes along his shoulders. He looked down at the human. "You are soft." The human cracked his knuckles. "Probably." Drax raised a claw. "Begin." The Talos recruit swung immediately, fast, brutal. The human ducked. The strike shattered the wall behind him. Gasps echoed. The Talos recruit roared. He swung again. The human stepped inside the strike, grabbed the arm, twisted, crack. The hull froze. The Talos warrior dropped to one knee. His arm hung useless. The human stepped back. "Sorry." The medical team rushed forward. Drax's jaw slowly opened. The next opponent stepped forward cautiously. A Zerak blade fighter. 4 curved arms. Energy blades humming. "You will bleed," the alien hissed. The human nodded. "Probably." Drax signaled. "Begin." The Zerak lunged. Blades flashing. The human backed away. Fast. Very fast. The scientist whispered again. Human reaction speed. Drax didn't respond. The Zerak struck again, and again, and again. The human dodged every strike, then suddenly moved forward. One punch. The Zerak collapsed instantly. Lights out. Silence. A recruit whispered, "What are humans?" The instructors were no longer amused. They were curious, very curious. Commander Velix arrived 2 hours later. He watched the footage silently. The human dodging blades, breaking arms, running impossible distances. Velix leaned toward the scientist. "Explain." The scientist took a deep breath. "Human evolution." Velix waited. The scientist continued. "They evolved as persistence hunters." Drax frowned. "What does that mean?" "They chased prey. For hours. Sometimes days." Velix blinked. "Days? Yes. Without stopping." Drax looked back at the screen. The human laughed with other recruits. "That makes no sense." The scientist sighed. "It gets worse." "Worse?" "Humans also evolved endurance pain tolerance." Velix leaned closer. "Meaning, they don't stop when tired," Drax said slowly. "They stop when dead." The scientist nodded. The third test was not scheduled, but Drax wanted answers. He activated the predator enclosure. Every recruit gasped. The enclosure held 4 creatures. Vorax hunters. Massive. Muscular. Natural apex predators. Even instructors avoided them. Drax turned to the human. "You will enter." Several recruits protested immediately. "That's lethal. He's dead." The human looked inside. The Vorax creatures stared back, slow, hungry. He shrugged. "Okay." The room went silent. The scientist whispered, "This is a terrible idea." Drax pressed the door control. The human stepped inside. The door sealed. The Vorax predators approached slowly. Low growls echoed. Their claws scraped metal flooring. The humans stood still, watching, waiting. One creature lunged, fast. The human moved, sidestep, grab. He slammed the creature into the floor. The entire academy gasped. The other predators froze. The human knelt on the creature, one hand on its neck. He stared into its eyes. Then he growled. A deep human growl, low, dominant. The predators stopped moving, every single one. The human released the creature, slowly stood, and pointed. "Sit." The Vorax sat. The control room exploded with shouting. "What just happened? Did it understand him?" The scientist screamed. "Oh no." Drax turned slowly. "Oh no, what?" The scientist looked terrified. Predators recognized dominance. Drax looked back inside. The human walked past the creatures calmly. They followed, like obedient hounds. The door opened. The human walked out. 4 Vorax predators behind him. Calm, silent, loyal. The recruits backed away quickly. The human scratched one creature behind its jaw. It purred. Purred. Commander Velix whispered, "That's impossible." The scientist shook his head. "No, what?" "It's perfectly possible." Velix glared. "Explain." The scientist sighed again. Humans domesticated predators. Drax blinked. What? Thousands of years ago. Valix narrowed his eyes. Why? The scientist looked at the human. Because they could. Later that night, the command staff gathered. Drax stood silently. Valix watched the training footage again. The human walking with Vorax predators. Like pets. Valix finally spoke. New Academy directive. Everyone looked up. Humans will no longer be evaluated as recruits. Drax tilted his head. What will they be? Valix smiled slowly. Instructors. Drax glanced through the window. The human sat outside. 3 alien recruits listened as he explained something. One of the Vorax predators lay beside him. Like a guard animal. Drax sighed. What are humans? The scientist answered quietly. Something the galaxy misunderstood. Valix nodded. And something we should never underestimate again. Across the academy, the human scratched the Vorax again. The creature wagged its armored tail. A recruit asked nervously, how did you tame it? The human smiled. I didn't. The recruit blinked. What? The human leaned back casually. I just showed it who's boss. The predator purred louder. And somewhere deep inside the academy, alien instructors quietly rewrote every training manual they had ever made, because humanity had just rewritten the rules of survival. Across the entire galaxy. And the galaxy had only just begun to notice. And that's the story of how one human changed what the galaxy believed was possible. If this story moved you, leave a like on the video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you enjoy stories where humanity refuses to give up, subscribe for more HFY Sci-Fi stories. Because out there in the stars, humans are just getting started.